Due to popular demand, we are once again going to look at some Zelda Tears of the Kingdom myths. Some crazy claims that could be true or false. For example, can a Molduga eat a Korok? Will a Puff Shroom get rid of bees? And can a Dazzle Fruit kill an entire flock of geese? Well, let's find out. Number 20. One thing I experimented a lot with in the older myth-busting videos is the Octo Balloon. I mean, you could do a bunch of stuff with it. But then Tom Moody asked me, can you attach one of these to an enemy while they are asleep? Well, I had no idea. And sadly enough, he couldn't test it because his Switch is overheating due to a broken fan. So I went out into the world of Hyrule to try it. And when I dropped Octo Balloons next to this Bokoblin, it did nothing. The enemy actually woke up and I was in for hell. But I couldn't attach anything to them no matter what I did. So I would say that this is impossible. Number 19. In an older video, I tried to shield surf on water, and I used all kinds of things to achieve this goal, but I just couldn't do it. However, now somebody suggested a new approach. Zach said, fuse a boat from that one island to your shield, which was a bit of a vague suggestion, so I had to figure out where to go first. Now, after some in-depth research, I found out that you can find a bunch of boats on an island close to Evertide. So I went there and fused one of these massive boats to my shield, but then something strange happened. The boat shrank and attached itself to the shield in a very weird way. And as you can imagine, this didn't work at all. And it's all due to how the game deals with this item. And personally, I'm a bit disappointed that it does this. I mean, it also doesn't look very good. But hey, we can't do anything about it. Number 18. Out of all the items you can find in the game, there's one that beats all. It is the most powerful and can defeat any enemy in a single hit. I'm talking about the Ancient Blade, one of the only pieces of Sheikah technology that's left, and due to that, it is incredibly rare. Personally, I've only found one of them. However, what will happen if a Bokoblin has it and uses it on one of his own allies? That's what Skittle asked me in the comment section. So I hid in this tree and I was ready to deploy my master plan. I jumped down, dropped the blade, and hit one of them with a Muddle Bud so he would attack the other. And as you can see, my plan worked, and the outcome was amazing. The other Bokoblin was instantly killed and was sent to another universe. So yeah, Skittle, this stuff actually works. Number 17. Now, Tears of the Kingdom isn't some spooky game, but still, I got scared a couple of times when playing it. For example, the first time I streamed it, I was shocked when a tree came to life and tried to freaking kill me. I didn't expect that at all. But apparently, there's a way to spot them from afar. This commenter said that you can use the camera to detect them before they come after you. So I tried it, and as you can see, I was able to spot this one from miles away, which was pretty handy. So yeah, next time you're roaming the forests of Hyrule, be sure to have your camera ready. Number 16. Throughout the years, I've covered a lot of Zelda games, and one thing that keeps coming back is the vengeance-seeking Cucos. When you mess with these birds, they will try to kill you. And of course, this is a thing in Tears of the Kingdom as well. But is there a way to escape them once they attack? Well, Jack claimed you can avoid them by entering a building with a door. So I went to Kakariko Village to test this claim. First, I pissed off the Cucos. And as you can imagine, they wanted me dead. So I fled into the store, and this sort of worked. Some of them were still able to get me here. But hey, it's still a lot better than being out in the open, because then you're screwed. So I would label this one as plausible. Number 15. The next one is quite simple and sweet, which is my favorite type of myth. This commenter said, if you equip a Dinroll Horn sword with an ice shield, will it melt the ice? Well, I fused a sheet of ice to my shield and made a sword out of a Fire Lizzle horn, and just stood there to see what would happen. And yeah, I know I didn't use the specific horn that was mentioned, but to be honest, that's not really necessary, because as you can see, the ice will slowly melt anyway, and if I switch weapons, it stops. So yeah, combining these two together isn't the best idea. Number 14. Sometimes people want me to retry certain myths I tested in the past, usually because I did something wrong, according to them. But this time someone wanted me to retry something I had done before because it could have a certain effect that I didn't notice the last time. Luke said that if you put a Keese eye on a boomerang, it will come back to you no matter where you are. So I crafted this weapon and threw it while running away. And as you can see, it followed me. I even did it multiple times, and no matter what, it would follow me. But I wasn't sure if this was really due to the Keese eye. So I decided to try it again, but this time with nothing attached. And as far as I could see, the boomerang didn't change behavior. It still followed me perfectly. So I don't think that the Keese eye has an effect here. It seems to follow you no matter what, which means that this claim is false. Number 13. The first time I read this comment, I was kind of shocked, and I didn't believe it at all. But still, I wanted to look into it. This commenter said, it might sound weird, but the hearts you get from the temples are technically world items, so they can respawn after a blood moon. Now, this sounded logical, but it made me wonder if any of the heart containers seen in the dungeons respawned at all. I mean, I hadn't been there since I beat them, so I went to the water and wind temple to see if anything was there. But no, sure, enemies had respawned, but nothing else. So the claim made here was wrong, which makes sense, because otherwise you could exploit the heck out of this. So maybe this person meant you can still get it when you forgot about it? Who knows really? I sadly enough can't test that, which means that this will remain a mystery. Number 12. When I was covering myths in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I said that people always try to find a way to farm lives. And this is a thing in Zelda as well. But instead of lives, it's rupees. And someone in my comments suggested a good way of making some extra dough. Wickeder0 said, if you're in need for money early on in the game, then you should keep all your meal slots filled. Because if you help Hudson, then he will give you 2 red rupees instead of 1. So I attempted this. But first, I completed one of these puzzles while I still had space, and as you can see, I got some money and food, which I expected. So I tried it again, but this time all my meal slots were filled, which took a bit of effort because you can carry loads of food in this game. And just like Wickeder0 claimed, I got 2 red rupees and no food because I didn't have any space for it. So it's true, and that can be very handy early on in the game, although there are better ways to farm rupees. Number 11. Now, I never expected to say this, but flying is incredibly important in this Zelda game. Sure, it was a thing in Skyward Sword as well, but in Tears of the Kingdom, it's massive, with all the flying machines you can make. But at some point, you run out of juice. So is there a way to avoid this? Well, this commenter said that you can use the Rito Champion to power your flying machine as soon as you run out of energy. So I did it. Well, I tried to at least. I can't use his powers while I'm on top of a Zonai device. And due to this, I think it's not really possible. And if it is, I have no idea how to do it correctly. Number 10. Now this next myth was a bit difficult to test. I mean, I spent way too long on this one, because the game wasn't really helping me. So I had to cheat a little. According to Alex, I had to throw a dazzle fruit at a flock of Keese because it would stun them and so they would fall to the ground, which would allow for easy farming. But after roaming Hyrule and looking into a number of caves, I couldn't find any. Really, it was weird. So I decided to shoot a group of them with a dazzle fruit arrow. I mean, I was a bit done with it all at this point. I had recorded all the others and I was busy for more than 6 hours at that point. Really, recording all this stuff can take a long time. And as you can see, it does stun some of them, and so they fell to the ground. But it didn't affect all of them. So I would label this one as plausible. It does work, but not as well as I expected. Number 9. Now this next claim seemed impossible to me. It didn't make much sense, but hey, I have to try it at least. Michael said that if you throw a wooden weapon at an ore vein and it breaks, then the weapon will catch fire due to the sparks. Now alright, this might seem logical, but if you have played the game for a bit, then you know it's most likely not possible. Only weapons made of steel work. For example, if you drop a stack of wood next to an ore vein and hit it with a steel weapon, then that would most likely work. But as far as I know, this isn't possible with a wooden weapon. And when I tried it on a number of different ore veins, I could see that it didn't work. So yeah, I would say that this claim is false. Number 8. One thing that people became completely obsessed with is the boomerang. What can it do and what happens if you combine it with certain items? Man oh man, I have covered a lot of boomerang related myths. However, this time somebody asked me if you can do a certain trick with them, because Kaust asked me if you can make a boomerang do 2 full circles before you catch it, which is an interesting challenge. So I got myself some Australian weaponry and I gave it a shot. But no matter what I did, I could only do 1 full circle with it. Each time it would fly in a bit of a circle and then it would come back to me in a straight line. So yeah, I don't think this is possible. Well, unless you use the rewind power-up, then it's pretty easy, but I would call that cheating. Number 7. Now of course people want me to do more crazy tricks and challenges that I can barely pull off. I mean, that's basically what Bucket Lord asked of me. He wants me to shoot a flying boomerang with an arrow and hit an arrow with a boomerang, which isn't easy. But hey, I did it anyway. As well as I could at least. But I wasn't very successful. It seems like you can't hit a boomerang with arrows, and the same goes for the other way around. They just kind of phase through each other. There's no collision, and so nothing really happens. Even when I tested it with enemies, I noticed this. So yeah, I don't think this is possible at all. Number 6. In many ways, I was disappointed with this game's story. The idea behind it is pretty cool, but in the end, the execution is a mess. While some details here and there are just weird or don't really fit. But if you ignore the main story, you can find a bunch of small things that really enhance the lore of the game. But I haven't found all of them, obviously, because there are so many. And someone in my comments mentioned a new one I hadn't heard of before. Apparently Riju has a much longer name than most of us thought. And this is mentioned in the Thunderhelm journal found in the Yiga hideout. So I put on my suit and went there to check it out. And yeah, it's true. It says so right here. Her full name is Michaela Rei. Now, I never knew this. And yeah, I know, I mispronounced that horribly. Now, I never knew this. And to be honest, I had never really read this journal. So almost all of this was new to me. And personally, I love small details like this. And the game is full of stuff like this. So if anyone has any others, be sure to share them in the comments down below. Number 5. Transportation methods is a big thing in this game. I mean, you got horses, the gliders, Zonai vehicles and flying machines, and so much more. But someone suggested an interesting new way of getting around, a lily pad. Renfried said that it was a thing in the Minish Cap, so maybe it is in this game as well. And I think this is a really good suggestion. It is seen in multiple Nintendo games after all, even Mario titles like Super Mario Sunshine. So I went into Hyrule and tried to find some lily pads. And when I finally found some while I was keys hunting, I tried it. I used a Korok leaf to get around, but nothing happened. I didn't move an inch. And even when I tried to cut it loose, I wasn't successful. So yeah, it seems like this can't be done, even though it would have made a lot of sense. It was a thing in older games after all, but it's not a thing in Tears of the Kingdom, sadly enough. Number 4. One item that is easy to find and super useful is honey. If you wander the world, you will come across loads of hives. But there's one problem with all of this. If you steal it, then the bees won't be too happy, and they will actually attack you. So usually, I just run away, and after a bit, they will leave me alone, and all is a-okay. But Fiery Red said that there's another way. He said that if you get chased by bees and throw a puff shroom, they will instantly fly off. So I did exactly that. And as you can see, it worked. They went away real quick. So this claim is 100% true. Number 3. Now, of course, we have to look at another boomerang myth. I mean, it's a must at this point. I can never escape this Boomerang Hell. And this time, we're going to do something quite wacky. But it could be super effective. Hunter Sims said, putting a beam emitter on a boomerang is incredibly good for crowds. However, it absolutely drains your battery. So after getting the required parts, I got to work. First, I had to find a load of enemies. And the Marauders of Hyrule Field seemed perfect for this. And as soon as I threw my boomerang, I could see that it was super effective. It killed so many of them. In the end, I was only left with the strongest enemies, while any weaker foes were destroyed in seconds. And even when an enemy came running at me, I could hit him from afar by doing a normal attack, which was also super handy. So yeah, this is a pretty good combo. I highly recommend that anyone tries this at least once. Number 2. Alright, this next myth is amazing. I saw it, and I knew I had to try it, just because it would be loads of fun. We all know about these little guys. They are all over the place, and everyone loves to mess with them in the most evil and sadistic ways imaginable. It's like crazy. And we are going to do something fun with one of them. Yeetus McGee suggested that I should feed a Korok to a Melduga, because this would apparently kill him. So I went into the desert, found a Korok, and tried to feed him to a Melduga, which reminded me a bit of that one scene with the Sarlacc pit in Star Wars. But anyway, now I will admit I wasn't fast enough, so I got hit a bunch as well. But still I was able to do it like 3 times, and the Korok was fine. I mean, he got tossed around a bit, but most of the time the Melduga went straight through him. The creature did way more harm to me than the Korok, so as far as I could see, this won't kill them. Which is a bit sad. It would have been fun if it actually ate the Korok, and it was gone after that. This would also increase the challenge a bit, but no. Number 1. As we all know, the Gerudo are kind of weird. They hate men and have pretty strange rituals. And Link rarely gets to see them, because he's a dude after all, so he gets kicked out. But apparently you can witness some interesting stuff if you're sneaky. This commenter said that you can actually sneak into the morning Vo class using the full Vo clothing set. All you need to do is stand between the dummies and listen. So I equipped the gear and went to the class before it started to set up. And as soon as the kids started rolling in, I saw that it worked. The lesson started and I could just sit back and enjoy. But as soon as I moved an inch, the teacher noticed me and I got kicked out. So yeah, don't do that. But I will say, this claim is true. And it can also be super handy for certain quests, because these NPCs will share vital information for some of them. Now those were all the myths and claims that I wanted to cover. But don't be sad that it's all over. I have more videos like this and even one mega compilation with 200 myths in total. So be sure to check it out. And don't forget, leave your ideas below in the comments and you might get featured in the video. And be sure to subscribe and like as well. It really helps.